Hi, my name is Yusuf Ibrahim and I'm a Vice Principal at Cardiff and Vale College.
Yusuf, can we talk about why workforce development with FE in skills is key for societal and economic growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're not developing the workforce, then we're not taking care of the pipeline that is going to move into the work stream in future years. And now that doesn't just mean young people, it also means people who need to reskill due to jobs changing and also redundancies taking place. And one of the key factors in this is going to be the introduction of AI. AI is going to transform the sorts of jobs that are taking place in the background, and therefore there are going to be a lot of people who are going to need to reskill, and we need to have a solution for them.
How do we help reskill and upskill educators and leaders with the new changes that are happening with the start of the fourth industrial revolution? How do we transform that?
So I think part of it comes down to the qualifications framework. We need to make sure that we can have qualifications that are adaptable, that are quick to change, but also are robust, but can ultimately lead to us being able to inject skills at the right time in different places. If we think about what education was like 50, 60 years ago, and what the landscape was like 50, 60 years ago, it took some time for things to change. So therefore we could plan and we could put things in place that might trickle in through the curriculum, and that trickle model was sufficient. That model isn't sufficient now, because of the pace of change. And so therefore we need to relook at qualifications, we need to relook at how they're designed, relook at how they're implemented, and look at how we can ensure that we've got people from all walks of life at different ages being able to do the right qualifications that hit the needs of society, but also themselves as well. We want people to feel uplifted, that they can go into education and they can go in a direction that's viable for them, a passion, something they want to follow, but also that it's meeting the needs of their future too.
There's opportunities and challenges with FE in skills for leaders and educators. One is like recruitment, retention, maintaining and keeping dual professionalism. Any tips and sort of ideas that you'd like to share with the sector on that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to recruitment, we need to think about how we're accessing that talent pipeline. Are we getting the most out of what is around us? Are we serving our community in the best way we can? Are we inspiring them to want to come and work for the education sector, or indeed for other sectors as well? And I think it's become more of a competitive process now, where you've got different companies and different sectors looking at how they're going to try and meet the needs of employees, whereas before, I think some people have maybe taken it a bit for granted that people are going to apply for them, stay in the job for a long time and move on. Actually, what the stats show is more likely you're going to move on from your job quite quickly. And so therefore we need to think about how not only we're going to recruit, but how we're going to retain people. And then if we're not able to retain people, how we're going to at least leave a legacy with them so they can pass the word on, so we're an attractive proposition for others.
What do you see the role of FE in skills as a sector in addressing socio-economic inequalities?
So I think the notion of social justice is at the core of education. Ultimately, from a personal perspective, individuals need to understand how to make moral decisions, they need to understand how their actions impact themselves and others, and then people in decision-making places, so you're looking at hiring managers, also looking at people who oversee and hold companies accountable, including in education, are looking at their own values and what that means for their companies too. And I think there needs to be a step change in looking how are we going to access the talent pipeline again. Can we keep coming back to this, but also make sure it's more representative, and they're able to attract people who come from backgrounds they weren't so interested in joining the workforce at that point.